I'm Brandon, man, and I'm chatting with Stacks.
San Antonio is the baddest chapter in the nation.
Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Stacks. I'm your host, Bill Stacks, and today I got Loco. What's up, man?
What's going on, man?
Chilling. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. Got a good workout in, so started out pretty good.
Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you taking the time.
Not a problem.
So, where were you born and raised?
Houston, Texas.
And what was it like growing up in Houston?
Just a lot of, man, I really don't know how to answer that. Again, I try not to be, like a parrot and be repetitive for what I say, but I guess just plant work and good food, basically how I could really explain it.
How'd you get introduced to the motorcycle world?
Let's see here. So in my late teens, I lived in North Carolina. I started riding with a guy named Mike Weaver. He introduced me to, bikes in general. He was a bike mechanic. So I had this V-Star 650. It was really cool, man. Custom bobber. That's how I started. But then I started to hang out with some guys, some outlaws, and I found myself at bars and going here to there and just hanging out, really being a friend, not even a hang around. That's how I got introduced to it. But there was quite a few years in between to where I just rode by myself and did my own thing.
And when you were riding by yourself, were they asking you to join them and come around, or?
Not often. Definitely not the outlaws. They turned me down when I asked about it, and I really didn't ask again after that. But as far as red and gold and stuff down here, I had one support club stop me at a gas station and ask me if I had a Harley, and I said, well, I could get one. And he said, you don't have one? I said, no. And then the old man stopped talking to me, so I guess I didn't qualify at that time.
Because you didn't have a Harley?
Yeah, so it was a little weird.
Why do you think the outlaws turned you down?
I was a young kid, man. I think it was a maturity thing. And the gentleman that I was hanging out with cared about me. Me and his daughter were friends. Him and Mike were friends. So he just was looking out for me, bro. I was a really lost young man. So yeah, I wasn't ready for that. I don't think you could be ready for something like this in general. I probably would have most definitely ended up in a body bag for sure.
So how did it transpire into you being with the Bandidos?
Oh, well, I was with a motorcycle ministry trying to kind of straighten my life together. I figured I'd get with a group of guys to hold me accountable. Ended up not fitting in with those guys. To make a long story short, I went to a benefit for one of the fallen brothers at that time, and I was with the motorcycle ministry. And at that point, I started to really search out, that lifestyle, and ended up calling the president. He invited me out to ride. He couldn't end up riding with me, but he had passed my number along to somebody else, and I ended up getting a phone call. But at the time, I still do, but at that time, here in Houston, Beast had a specific area that they were in control of, and I had happened to live in that area, so there was very little footprint for bandits in my area at the time. So I guess hindsight's 2020. It was a smart move on their end to kind of find somebody that didn't really know much about what was going on and seeing if he stood. It's kind of crappy at the end of the day because my life wasn't really, it was just whatever. If thinking about, hey, they hang around. If he makes it, he makes it. If he don't, he don't. And a little credit to my boss at the time. He was like, hey, man, you're not going to get much slack. You know the rules. If you die as a hang around, you're not getting a bandit funeral. If you die as a prospect, you'll get your bandit funeral. So he was pretty blunt with me, but it took multiple events and some violence to happen before anything was actually just kind of. I had to keep pressing, like, hey, what's going on? And yeah, it was different. It was different.
So are the Beast and the Bandidos, are they enemies? Are they not cool? Like,
Yeah, it's pretty well known, bro. Beast is always been, not always been, from what I understand, because I wasn't there in the beginning, so I can't speak out of turn. But from what I understand, having friends in the Beast now, and then also old brothers of mine, we'd talk about it on the side. It was kind of a taboo subject, but some people, were just open about it if they were there. And a lot of the old schools told me, hey, those guys used to fold our T-shirts and this stuff. I don't know if they folded T-shirts, but our support club, maybe it could have been like a sly, comment, real slick, right? But at the end of the day, I believe the true story is, and I trust who I trust at this point, even though trust is not the biggest compliment to use for this kind of lifestyle. But I'd say they started out as really doing dirt, and they did the dirt. They did the main things for the bandits at one point in time. And I know people don't like to hear it, but it's the truth, I believe. And from things that I put together and the people I've talked to and the way things go, how strong they stood their ground at times. Not everybody, but at times, most of the time, if you encountered some on my end of the world here in Houston, they stood on business pretty well. And like I said, not a lot of guys really would admit that, but they're a lot stronger in this area than given credit. You don't see bandits out here much.
Before you're getting involved, are you getting in trouble? Are you going to jail and getting
Oh,
arrested? Like,
oh yeah, I was in and out of county, man. Just silly stuff, violence, and just dumb stuff, man. Um,
yeah.
just was a pretty lost person. I don't look at that as a badge of honor or anything to be excited about whatsoever.
I was the same way, man. I was searching for something. I kept getting in trouble in and out of prison for years and years. I didn't get my life together until like 6 years ago.
It's crazy because I've never spent time in prison. A lot of people have this thought process is, they think prison time and you're automatically some hard guys. Like I've had a lot of friends that did prison time for like money fraud and all kinds of stuff, and they're the softest, most like softest kitten paws, man. So when you take this idea of like everyone who's been to prison or everybody had to do time or not, man, there's some guys out there that are straight laced, go to work, go to church, that'll put them hands on you real quick.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the most softest person can go to prison and survive.
Yeah.
Like when you go to prison, there's cornballs in there, there's
Oh
janitors, there's every type of person in prison. Junkies, they're not all hardened criminals. It's not like that.
no, man. And the guys that I had, it was funny because I was surrounded for a while with, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I was surrounded by a lot of people who did a lot of time for a lot of bad things. And what most people don't understand is you can basically tell if somebody, it's a little psychology for you if you're interested, but you can tell if somebody's willing to do something crazy by the amount of time they've already spent. And you'll find the people that are more willing to rat or snitch because they're on their last strike. They have a wife and kids now. They've established family. They have a good job. Most of these guys come out of prison are making bank. They have a plant job. They do this and that. So people misconstrue the idea like those guys are doing big things. No, 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 no. It's the guys with no records that haven't been slapped on the wrist. It's the guys that are willing because they don't know the consequences for themselves. They see this guy that just came out of prison, not realizing that RICO has changed, that not realizing that sentences has changed with gang offenses. They're not understanding these things. So when you put two and two together, and if you're somewhat intelligent, you start to see the light. Unfortunately, it took me 3 years to recognize that. And I think I did. I think it was easy to ignore it based off of whatever hate I had in my body or, making things personal, pride. There's so many stupid reasons I did that.
So when you start hanging around with these guys, is that when you start seeing the violence? When you're just hanging around, or are you a prospect?
I got into my first fight as a hanger, and it moved me up pretty quick.
Can you walk me through it?
Well, yeah, it's pretty silly, but I laugh and people get on me like, you laugh, you don't regret that stuff. I laugh out of embarrassment. I laugh out of, so let's cut the chase on this. And I laugh because it's like, when you come out of this lifestyle, you don't really see yourself doing it anymore. You're like, man, what did I
What's I
do? So
thinking?
anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I had a rabbit moment, but so I was at the Galveston rally and they invited me out there and I'm pumped, man. I'm like, let's go, And they debrief everybody. Hey, the island's ours. If Beast is around, you know what's up. Smash on sight. Don't let them guys walk around Galveston. It's a bad look. Yada yada yada. And they're like, hey man, you're a hang around. You don't get into bandit business. You let the one percenter stay one percenter. You're not a one percenter. They talk like that. But it motivated me to kind of like, oh, okay, bet you feel that way. You think it's because I'm a hang around, So I was already just motivated to find trouble, right? So I get out there and some support guys came up and was like, the hang around still over support. When you're official hang around, you're over support too. They kind of look at you as the big brother out here. And the support came up and said, at that time, I think my nickname, I didn't even have a nickname, bro. And oh, Gundrop. Yeah. So at that time I was Gundrop. And he came up to me and said, Gundrop, we had some beasts walking around in the right in the middle, in the, what is that place called? It's just big, long in Galveston. But anyway, there's this long, kind of like Vegas. There's just this long strip of bikes come up and down it, and it's just main road. Probably 100,000 people there, and this isn't like a joke. This is like a lot, seas of people.
Yeah.
So I had a mentor of mine in the scene in my chapter. He was an old man, dude. He was like old. I'm talking 60s. And he's been a bandit for a while. And he was my VP at the time. And he was like, what's going on? And I said, well, these guys are saying that some beasts are walking around. Let's go handle it. And he's like, all right, that's cool. Let's go. He liked it. And this is an old dude, like old guy, bro. Wrinkles. I love this guy. I love him with all my heart, still to this day. But he goes, and one of the support guys that said no, he didn't want to go. He's a bandit now. So I said, all right, guys, y'all come with us. So it was going to be me, a patch holder, a hanger on patch holder, and two support guys. And one of the who's a bandit now said, no, 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 we're good, we're good. And I looked at him and I'm like, wait a second. I'm looking at the cookie. I'm like, all right, whatever. It says support the Bandidos. I'm like, man, hello support, right? So whatever. So he said, forget it. So me and this gentleman walked to a bar down. Uh, Again, I keep forgetting that little pathway they call it, but
The
down
strip. It's
on
like
the
a strip.
strip, the strip, the
Yeah, yeah.
strip, the
The
strip,
strip.
the
Yeah.
strip, down the strip, and goes to the bar, and we take a couple shots. He starts buying me Patron shots. It was beautiful, man. We were having a good time, had some lime. Patron shots were chatting it up with the bar ladies, and normally they'll go into a bar and sit around. So we just check out this bar, and we asked the waitress at the time or the bartender if she had seen anybody, and they said, well, they popped up in the back door and they just kind of walked in through here because police were in and out trying to make sure that there was no problem, so they would escort them off the island. Whether that's true or not, I'm not sure. But we're under as we were told, hey, we're gonna try and keep things down. And the cops were always like, hey man, y'all keep it down, y'all keep it down. There was communication there, but there wasn't like friendship. It was like, hey dude, let's start no problems. Don't start any problems. People are here to have a good time. It's a rally. So we're rocking down the strip, and all of a sudden we see a prospect and their president of one of their chapters. And my heart starts racing a little bit. I'm walking next to the patch holder, and I'm like, all right, so what do we do? Do we just, bum rush him and start smacking down? Do we do whatever? And he's like, all right, take it easy, take it easy. So we walk down, and we get like, they start to pass us, and we get within like punching distance. And I'm expecting the patch holder to just, my VP to just punch him, right? Because he's me mugging him, and they're me mugging us. Like, they're just walking. And the patch holder goes, and boom, like spits a loogie dog in the eye of the president.